We have so much high school football coverage for you every week. Every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we have high school football coverage. On Thursdays, Michelle and I preview and predict all of Central Indiana's best games. On Friday, we hear from head coaches from around Central Indiana. And on Friday night, Saturday morning, as close to midnight as we can, we release our Football Friday scoreboard show where Michelle and I go over scores and highlights from Central Indiana and the best games from across the state and talk to coaches and media. Then on Tuesday, we have our football report where we will recap week 3. Again, talk to some coaches and media about what happened. Name our offensive, defensive, and two-way player of the week. Our coach, win, and team of the week. And name our Central Indiana Sports Report Top 20 Power Poll. Please join us every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for continued Central Indiana high school football coverage.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome, high school football fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and our Football Friday previews. And, Michelle, our game of the week, the Twin Lakes Indians against the Tipton Blue Devils. A couple of unbeaten teams, a couple of really good teams. And I am looking forward to taking this one in on Friday night.
Yeah, it should be a very entertaining game. Very well coached football teams. No one, I mean, Kevin O'Shea, he is really good at what he does, and Aaron Tolle is very good at what he does.
Not bad.
Not bad. And the thing is, they're both the O'Sheas and Tolles are coaching family, so that always makes it fun and interesting.
Well, Michelle, the thing is, the Tipton Blue Devils have not really been tested yet, and they're going to get their first test on Friday.
They are, it's homecoming, and I've seen homecoming games go both ways before.
All right, Michelle, we talked to Coach Toll before the game, and he has a lot of respect for Twin Lakes and their head coach, Kevin O'Shea. And actually, as I mentioned on our preview show and with our predictions on Thursday, he actually convinced me to take Twin Lakes. He convinced me that they're that good. And I said, all right, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take Twin Lakes. Let's hear from Coach Toll. And before we do, your thoughts on what he had to say about that program.
Well, he knows it's going to be a very tough challenge, and he alluded to that right away last week after the Elwood game. He said he was happy because he thought his team had improved in the areas that he really wanted to see improvement from week 1 to week 2, but that he told his team after that game that, hey, it gets really real now. You know, the next 5 6 weeks are going to be really tough, and a lot of that is because we didn't mention yet. This Tipton only has 3 home games on our schedule. Last week was 1.
Right.
This week is 2, and that's why it's homecoming, because this is the earliest Tipton's ever had homecoming. And so in the third week will be senior night, and that's about 3 or 4 weeks down the road. Aaron talks about, you're right, he talks about how much respect he has for Kevin, and he knows exactly what's in store for the Blue Devils on tonight.
All right, Michelle, let's hear from Coach Toll. Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Tipton head coach Aaron Tolle. Michelle, you have a question.
Well, Aaron, big week for you guys. I mean, what's it like, practice like this week? Because, I mean, homecoming and pork festival week are always kind of screwy, and they're the same week this year. So, how has that affected practices?
I hope that it hasn't a whole lot. My perspective has always been, there's only one reason that we have homecoming, and that's because of the game on Friday. So that I try to instill in our guys that the game on Friday is by far the most important thing. All these other things are very inconsequential compared to the ball game. So I think in the past we've done a pretty good job of that, and hopefully we carry that on. As far as the pork festival is concerned, my message to them is, we usually donate time on Saturday, and from experience, I can tell you that it is much more enjoyable working in the food tent after a win than after a loss. I've done both, and
You probably get a lot less.
it's
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say you probably get a lot less Saturday quarterback coaching from the people going through after a win, right?
yeah, it's you get pats on the back as opposed to people you don't know telling you what you did wrong. So it is much more enjoyable. So I think our kids are mature enough. They've done this before, so I think they know what the task at hand is, and I think we'll be in good shape come Friday.
What concerns you most about Twin Lakes?
Their quarterback, I think he's very good. He's a returning starter and has a strong arm. Doesn't have necessarily designed runs, but is really good at extending plays. And then when he breaks the pocket, I think their receiving core is like as good as I've ever seen at scramble drill, to where he gets out of the pocket and they just break off their routes and it just becomes backyard football, and it's really tough to defend. So we're going to have to do a lot of things right on the defensive side of the ball to contain their offense.
And then how hard is it to prepare for them this week? Because especially coming off preparing a game like Elwood, where they don't have a passing game, and it's kind of like a power running game. Therefore it's very generic as far as run or old school.
We might have sprinkled in some pass offense last week, maybe in preparation for this week. It's what we do all summer. For the most part, we defend ourselves all summer long. And Twin Lakes their offense has a lot of similarities to ours. So it's just that, it's just a changing of gears from week to week. It's not like it's all brand new. Maybe we needed a refresher course early in the week, but again, we had great preparation all summer. 4 games like Friday.
Coach, she talked a little bit about playing Elwood. And again, I grew up in Elwood and I graduated from Frankton, so I'm not insulting those football programs, I promise. But I'm guessing after playing those two teams the first 2 weeks, you still have a few questions about your team going into this week?
I think you always do early in the season, but we corrected. I thought Friday we corrected a lot of the mistakes we made at Frankton, but on top of that, we made some more. So, if you watch the film close enough, there's always things you can nitpick on and find that you did wrong and try to improve on. I don't think there's any doubt, and this certainly isn't a knock on either one of those teams either, because I think of the 9 teams that we play, I think Twin Lakes will be in the top third, would be my guess. So no doubt the level of play is going to go up, and that's a compliment to Twin Lakes, not a put down to anybody else. But we think very highly of Twin Lakes. We think they have a very powerful offense. They've got a Hall of Fame coach that has 250 wins. I can't even remember how many state championships, but multiple. I've played him numerous times. He's an outstanding coach, so I'm sure they're going to be very well prepared. So it's a big challenge for us on Friday, to be honest.
Coach, I asked about the question marks you still have. What have you seen that you've really liked so far?
I love our running game. I love our running backs by committee, to where we have 3 different backs that we can rotate in there. They all have different strengths. They all have things that they are good at. I think our receiving core is improved from last year. And that includes the tight end and Jaron Aller and I think Zach Ridgway has improved. I think Isaiah's improved. I think Dakota's improved. I think they're all better than they were a year ago. I think our offensive line is better than it was a year ago. Our quarterback has a year of experience, so he should be better than he was a year ago. So I feel like offensively we ought to be quite a bit ahead of where we were last year. I've been impressed with our defensive line play, linebacker play at times, and I think you said our secondary let us down once at Frankton. Didn't really get challenged last week, so maybe that's the biggest question mark. Now, again, I feel like we have really good athletes back there, so they should be able to execute at a high level, because I do think across the board they're all high level athletes.
Hey, Aaron, so far it's your running back by committee has just been phenomenal for you guys, and I mean, gosh, Caden Cook, you shows you have talented running backs that are underclassmen as well. I mean, most of them actually. Well, you have two seniors and the rest are underclassmen. So
2 seniors, 2 sophomores, yeah.
So, is that how advantageous is that to have that kind of talent as far as then being able to rotate players in and buy them some series of rest?
Well, I mean, the top 3 they all start on defense, so that's to be able to play them a third or half the time on offense and not have a kid that never comes off the field is extremely valuable. One, they can get their breath, and 2, we have the ability to coach them during the game. If they're out on the field the entire time, you can go quarters or even halves and not speak to a kid. So from that standpoint, I think it's really advantageous. And I think the goal is maybe we always have a set of fresh legs back there.
High school football in particular, home games are very special. You only get 3 of them this year, and there's only 1 left after this one. Have you talked about your team about taking advantage of playing at home?
I'll tell you, last Friday, that was one of the best crowds I've seen us have in a long, long, long time. Now, I think it felt like if you paid your money to get in the gate, you got introduced for some reason. It felt like we introduced every person in the stadium. But it was a huge crowd. We had our TYFL night. There was a cheerleading camp. I don't know what all we had teachers being recognized. So it was a huge crowd. I feel like we performed pretty well. So, maybe hopefully everybody will come back this weekend. Again, it's homecoming weekend, and we don't play at home for a month. So hopefully we will pack the stands again. And I think our kids realize. We're hopeful that maybe we can host a couple tournament games. It's not a guarantee, but yeah, three home games, and 2 of them in the first 3. It's going to be 5 of the next 6 are on the road. So home games are few and far between.
Your kids are going to know how to do a road trip, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
Hey, Aaron, I know it's not technically a conference game, but I'm guessing that you guys are looking at this as a conference game since Twin Lakes is in the Hoosier Conference.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with how we do things in our conference anymore, but they've always been a conference team, and I think they're considered a conference team in all the other sports. So, yeah, I think for the most part we consider it. I know they're not in the small school division, but we consider it a conference game. And honestly, we just look at them as a kind of a barometer to see. We feel like they're a really good football team. Want to see, how we compare to them.
Michelle, as I said, I'm taking Twin Lakes. I think this is going to be a great game. Could go either way. Your prediction, I'm just going to assume you're taking the Blue Devils.
Oh, I am taking the Blue Devils. I do think it's going to be close. I could see a 17-14 game. I could see a 24 to I could see a 24 to 20, 21 game. I think it's gonna. I'll be honest. I think it's gonna be a one-score game. I believe that. I think Tipton can win a one-score game. And with the field goals that I know, I mean, Brogan Ferg has missed 2 field goals so far this season, and he's pushed them just right from where he's lined up. And I will guarantee you that that'll be something that Tipton will have worked on a little bit this week. Now I know Brogan's busy because he's not only is he Tipton's kicker, he is the goalkeeper for the Blue Devils soccer team.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much, and make sure everybody to tune in to our Football Friday scoreboard show where Michelle and I will go through all of the scores from across the state and talk to a couple of coaches and have some fun. Definitely going to talk to Coach Tolle.
Yes, yeah. We'll definitely talk to Coach Tolle, and and again, I'm excited. Blue Devils have it's just really kind of hard because the first 2 weeks, but they have a lot of weapons. They have a deep wide receiving core, and they have a deep running back core. In fact, they're 4 running backs, and it's a running back by committee, and then you throw in Quinn Tolle, quarterback, who's also a really good runner. Um, and it's pretty good. And I think they have 2 of the best offensive linemen in the area, possibly in maybe 3. Definitely left tackle Jack Roach. And Hawkins and Coach Toll spoke about those kids, and defensively, I don't think they're missing too much of a beat from last year. They still seem to be fast, physical, and relentless.
As I mentioned during the podcast, we will almost certainly talk to Coach Tolle after the game on Friday night and hopefully a player or 2. And we expect to hear from Coach O'Shea of Twin Lakes as well. Please join us on Friday night, Saturday morning, as close to midnight as possible for the Football Friday scoreboard show. Always love having you along for the ride. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a football fan in your life and help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.